Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and every nook and cranny where our 100,000 watt transmitter gets its signals permeated to those magical boxes known as FM radios. We are going to have a great show for you. But before, of course, we have to say as well, good morning to the world, whether you are in Barcelona, Spain, London, England, and anywhere where we have people listening to Politics Done Right. Before we get started, of course, we get to the studio with our relevant geniuses. Good morning, genios de mis hermanos. ¿Cómo están?
It's good to know we're relevant. I enjoy that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Egberto, you are gonna have one heck of a show this morning. The Democratic Party has managed to shoot itself in the foot by pressuring Joe Biden to get out of the race. And the reason they did that is, well, we don't think he can beat Trump. I think he can. He thought he could. But the short-sightedness of it is all just baffling to me. And the fact that Joe Biden can run the country, but can he beat Trump? Very short-sighted and foot shooting. So what say you when we get into the show? And John is already on the line here this morning. He wants to make his opinion known about what happened over the weekend. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But Jack has some wisdom for us all.
Brother Jack.
Well, maybe it's a farewell. It's, I hate to see you go, Joe. You did a lot of good things. Free vaccines, extended unemployment benefits, investments in infrastructure, rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, gun control measures, immigration, and now I'm going to say, welcome, Kamala Harris. Hopefully you can beat back the rise of fascism in our nation. Hopefully.
We keep our fingers crossed here.
Man.
Yes, we keep our fingers crossed. I don't usually disagree with my brother from another mother whose name is Howard. But it
is perfectly okay to disagree with me. I am fine with that.
He's disagreeable.
No. What I mean is, I spoke to a whole lot of people, and some of us are in agreement, some are in disagreement. But the one thing all of us do is we want what's best for America. Period. Punto y final. That's what we want. And I wrote I absolutely know that. I absolutely know that. Look, I'll be honest with you. Some of my MAGA brothers and sisters, well, not some of them, the vast majority of my MAGA brothers and sisters, they want what's best for America too. I mean, it is just a matter of how we were reared and how you think about getting there. Right? So, I mean, I try to look at the positive side of everything. Now, I wrote a long blog last night that I placed on my newsletter. I'm not going to read it out here, but what I made sure to do was not deferential to President Joe Biden, but pointing out how effective a President Joe Biden was, or is, please. And what I wanted to get everybody to move is that this move have little to do with Joe Biden than it does to Mother Nature. We have Bernie Sanders, Anthony Fauci. We have Clyburn. These are all octogenarians, all older than Biden, who displays a lot more stamina, a lot more fast, coming back fast. This is to take away absolutely nothing from Joe Biden. We don't all age the same. And I told some of my friends at Daily Kos, who were extremely upset. Actually, Howard came out rather mild. Some of these guys were screaming down the throat. How could this possibly happen? And then I said, look, um, I felt Joe had this burden on his in his soul. He wanted to make sure that we didn't go through the fascism that Trump is going to bring if Trump wins. And yesterday, for the first time, after looking at the numbers and the deterioration of what occurred in the swing states, he finally said, "Oh my God, why didn't I know this before?" But anyhow, it turns out, folks, that Joe, we should not take away anything from Joe Biden, and this is coming from a person who was not is a Berniak. I am a Berniak. I believe in the policies Bernie supports. And I can tell you categorically that he has been the most progressive president in my time, has gotten more legislation, sans healthcare, as in Obamacare, done. I mean, he has been a great president for the policies that people like me want. We'll always want more, but he was a good guy. But I'm not going to leave John waiting on the phone. I want to hear what John has to say, and then I'll move on. But welcome Eric Hayes and welcome Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Uh, Great to have you in the chat. Come on in, John. Let's talk.
Well, I had it all figured out what I was going to say, and then Howard had to say what he said, and I kind of agree with him because I felt the same way, that they shot themselves in the foot because Joe Biden's been such a good president. His marketing is just horrible, though. And I come from a neighborhood in Houston called Alacran that no longer exists, the ghetto.
Uh-huh.
Say that because what I'm about to say is going to some people will say, oh, well, you're being racist. But is America really, really ready to elect a black female as president?
Mm-hmm.
Are they really ready? Is that going to cause some of these really racist people who are going to vote against Trump to turn around and say, you know what? I don't like Trump, but I don't want this so and so black woman to be president.
John, let me answer that.
Yes,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying I've had to deal with racism since I was 5 years old. I know what that's like. I'm 74 years old. I know what it's like. It's unforgiving. They've been fighting this fight since they lost Brown versus the Board of Education. They've been fighting this fight against us since the 13th and 14th Amendments. So they haven't given up.
No, they haven't. Let me tell you what I think, John, because and all for everybody that is the biggest fear with a Kamala Harris, and that is she's a black woman, she's an Asian woman, meaning of Indian descent as well, and she's a woman. And if Hillary couldn't do it, can Kamala really do it? Let's first be clear. Hillary did it. Hillary was not very much liked. Kamala is liked a bit more than Hillary. But here's the thing: Hillary won the popular vote. Hillary's loss in this close election was because her campaign denied what guys like Moore and others were telling her to do in Milwaukee, Detroit, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Detroit, Michigan, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Let me be clear here. I mean, I'm a numbers guy and believe solely in numbers. She was lagging in those three cities because, again, the outreach to the community she claimed is her base was nil. And that is where she lost. Remember, Hillary only lost by 70,000 votes, 70 to 80,000 votes in those three states. Okay, had she gotten just a tad bit more vote in those three cities, she would have been president. Hillary with a victory of over 4%. Because remember, she won the election by over 3 percentage points in popular vote over Trump. But we don't elect people by popular vote in the United States. It's not a democracy. Now let's jump to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a black woman an Asian woman, and a woman. Here is the funny thing about it. Back in 2008, I was a supporter of Hillary Clinton before I was a supporter of Barack Obama. And also, I had the same sentiment that you have right now, that there's no way in hell Barack Obama could win the election. It wasn't time yet because the country had not yet changed enough, in my humble opinion, which was completely wrong. Okay. Now here is when I switched to Obama. There's something that Clinton's husband did in North Carolina was one of the reasons, but what eclipsed it was the following. And I think I've told this story here before, and I don't, for those who've heard it before, forgive me. They were canvassing in Pennsylvania, and Obama's team went to a home and asked the woman was at the door and said, "Who are you voting for?" They're doing their tabulations, and this was a white woman, and I don't know why she thought she had to do it, but she called out to her husband in the back and said, "Honey, who are we voting for?" In other words, as if they vote as a unit. Who are we voting for? And then the guy said, "We are voting for the N guy," meaning N-word guy. When I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
that, when I heard that, I immediately knew that Barack Obama was going to win the election. And the reason why was that this guy's racism and all his isms were superseded by what he thought was going to be better for him at that point. And my contention under Trump is that the case, Kamala is not going to win this stuff by sitting back on her butt, or the people that support her are not going to win this stuff by sitting down on her butt. They're going to win it by going out and making the real case, the proper case, that America's the working class and the middle class financial well-being and social well-being is at risk with Donald Trump, and to prove that it is going to be at risk with Donald Trump, and that their families, their mother, their brother, their sister, their aunt, are going to be materially hurt, which I know they will, by a Trump presidency. So your concern is actually very justified. But like I said, she's not going to be winning this election by saying, "Vote for me." She's going to be winning the election by saying, "You need to vote for me." And if she makes that case, the landslide that I've written about at the Daily Kos, at Op-Ed News, and at all these other rags is going to be a reality, because the reality is the policies that comes with Project 2025 are a clear and present danger for the working class, for the middle class, for women, and the whole plethora of groups. Continue, please, my brother John.
No, I have the same fear. I have that same fear just because of Project 2025. But I knew 2025 was coming when you involved Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller.
Right.
In that, because I knew they were white supremacists. They're not about any structure. They're about chaos and anarchy. And if you understand about history, anarchy and chaos are simple. They're simple things to do. You just lie and lie and lie, and
that's what he does. So John, I got a task for you, for all of us that are listening to here, that are of like mind in loving this country and wanting to move forward. I want us to move without fear. I want us to trust in our fellow American. And I want us to go out there. And there's going to be pushback, and there's going to be a lot of fear. But I want folks to look at the math, look at what's best for us, and trust that your neighbor will do the right thing when they go back in that booth. And I know many are going to say, but they haven't done it. To which I answer, we haven't hugged our neighbor enough. And that's all I'm going to say. Hug our neighbor and love on our neighbor, and let. Go ahead, sir.
If it doesn't happen in November, then what happens? Then what does the president do?
If it doesn't happen,
does does Joe Biden take action and say, I have to protect the United States of America?
No,
If I
no,
break the
that's
law,
not.
I break the law because I have
That's
absolute
not.
immunity.
No, that's not who we are. That's not who we are. If
No, that's not
America,
who
if
we are.
Amer,
But we might
no,
not be
if
who we. In
no, no,
some
that not
ways,
if
that's who we are.
John, I disagree. I disagree in this respect. If we choose to elect Donald Trump, that is who we are. If we choose to elect a rapist, if we choose to elect a felon, if we choose to elect somebody that thieves, that steals from his people, if we choose to elect a person who lies like he does, who continues to harm people, that's who we are. And at that point, in my case, at that point, I use my dual citizenship, right? But what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if we elect this person that has done so much wrong, that has been so immoral, and again, you just have to see the things that he fesses up to himself. If we decide to elect that level of depravity after knowing the truth, then that's who we are, and that's who the world will continue to see us as. So anyway, John, I got to start taking some calls, and I do appreciate
Thanks
your
a
call,
lot.
and I want to say once again, no fear, guys. Go out there and win this thing. Let's go to Brother Joe. Come on in, Brother Joe.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. Happy Monday to
Good
you.
Happy Monday to you, sir, man. Talk to me.
Man, the first things I heard out of your mouth this morning was that Trump was a fascist, right? Well, that's great to hear. You know, the fascism is usually characterized by militarism, you know, which Trump is not known for, but Biden is. Forcible suppression of opposition, which, you know, Joe Biden is clearly doing to Trump. Subordination of individual interests for the perceived good of the whole, right? And that absolutely is Joe Biden in a nutshell, right? You know, suppressing personal freedom for the good of the whole, or so they say. So as usual, Democrat supporters like you are accusing others of being exactly what you are. Right. Again, your previous caller illustrates my point. You say if Trump gets in there, he'll never leave. Right. This guy says, oh, well, for the good of the nation, what should we do? What should we do if we elect the devil, Donald Trump, evil incarnate, as you call him? Egberto, I think I'm starting to catch on to your game, bud. I think that you're actually a paid shill for the DNC. You know, you're a freelance writer, and I think you're accepting some of that dark money they pass around for people to write stories and hit pieces like you do.
Okay, let me answer. Can I answer now? Let me answer all your questions. Now, first of all, nobody pays
I didn't have
me.
any questions. Go ahead.
Okay, well, let me relate to your statements then. Nobody. I wish I would get some of that dark money you're speaking about, because the truth of the matter is, 16 hours a day, and the only thing I get money from is my Patreon for the people who love the work that I do. Okay, that's the only form of a real thing that I get here. Now, when it comes to the description that you gave there, I mean, there's like I said, I love you because you're a human being, but what came out of your mouth was completely nonsensical. Now, the truth of the matter is, you are, and I think there's no doubt, there's nothing that I have ever described about Trump that isn't true. And you, with knowing all of that, the fact that you will be voting for Trump should question should question what you truly believe. And again, if you know that you're voting, you have a daughter. If you know you're voting for somebody who grabs on women's crutches, who's raped women, who's treated women like less than, if you know you're voting for somebody who ripped people off with a false university, if you know you're voting for somebody that is a thief with the charities, etc., and you still feel that this person has the moral character and fortitude, and not only that, but what it takes to be president of the United States, I really question how you came to that realization. So, Brother Joe, you know, I listen to what you have to say, I will continue to preach the truth.
So listen. So even if all that is true, Egberto, which I doubt, he's still the lesser of two evils. Because all of that said about Joe Biden, a man who raped his secretary, a man who has sold out his country for decades, right? A man who should be rotting in prison when he's done screwing up his country.
Joe. First of all, everything that I've said was corroborated. Nothing that you've said was corroborated at all. So therefore, my brother, I'm going to have to go to Brother Johnny, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. But again, we have to have truth at some time. At some time, my MAGA brothers have to come to the realization that what they are in fact supporting, what they're going to teach their daughter, their mother, their brother, their child, what they're teaching their children is that the moral character of the person who is now who accidentally became president is somehow okay. How do you ever tell your kids not to steal? How do you ever tell your kids not to rape when you are in fact that's what you're supporting? Let's go to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Oh, I was feeling pretty good until Joe came on. Hey, Joe, where you going with that rhetorical gun in your hand? You, my friend, are a poor judge of character to make the assertions that you make repeatedly, not just today, but other days against Egberto. All the things that you assert about Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, you are dead wrong. The empirical evidence is obvious, but you refuse to see it. Maybe you are the paid shill here. What you think about that? Now, I want to disagree respectfully with you, Brother Egberto.
Please do.
Talk about your dual citizenship because of what you believe that we are. We are not, as you say, those things because if Donald Trump should get in the White House again, here's why. Donald Trump got into the White House the first time unethically, unlawfully, I would argue. He did not get the popular vote. The other guy did. And by the way, lots of Americans don't like Donald Trump. Only a silent, well, they're not silent anymore. They're very vocal minority who are ready, willing, and able to hit the streets and commit retail violence. Those are the ones who would stand up for Trump and vote for him again. But that doesn't mean that he won't get into the White House. Why? Because Donald Trump's party, his people, his tribe, they are the type of people that go into the dead of night sneaking around in voter registration offices, examine voting machines. They have people who are friends who own companies that manufacture voting machines. They have shut down polling places and moved them around at the last minute and caused lines. They do all kinds of things, intimidate voters. Both paid and volunteer law enforcement they have on their side doing these things. We don't do that. We are not like that. We, the silent majority, are America. So the reason why Donald Trump could get into the White House is because he has had lots of artificial help the first time around. And people like Joe, who are easily manipulated, fall for that. And by the way, Joe's full of hate. That's why he comes to the airwaves and he says the way he does all the time. And I feel sorry for him. I really do. And I fear for this country because there's enough people like him that are circulating around and have nothing else better to do than contest you based on their fantasies in their head. And
okay, Johnny. Yeah.
Yes?
Go ahead.
Yes?
No, I'm saying go ahead, Johnny.
Okay. And one last thing, to answer the other caller's question about are we ready for a female or a black female, specifically Kamala Harris, to be in the White House? And the answer is obviously yes. Here's why. We've got lots of indirect measures. Recent history has shown that Hillary Clinton, a woman, a white woman, won the popular vote. Barack Obama, a black man, got into the White House. He won the popular vote. Hello. How much more does it take? But my question is Kamala Harris the actual black female to do it? I don't know. We have yet to see. And unfortunately, you and I can't vote on that. It's going to be the superdelegates that get the say. So let's hope that they use their common sense and they make sure that they find out that she's got debating skills necessary now, not like she did the last time. Otherwise, we are in trouble. And I don't have a dual citizenship. I have to stay and struggle.
Oh no, Panama would love to have you, man. Panama love Americans. Panama love Americans. So you can actually go get your citizenship in Panama. But anyway, look, I don't know that we're disagreeing at all, Johnny. Yeah, you can, Johnny. We're not disagreeing really. We're not at all. In fact, from everything that you've said, I was trying to find what you're going to say we disagreed about. So I don't see it. When I talk about what we would have said, what America is again for Trump to win this time around. After what's known, it would mean I don't think he wins with less than the popular vote this time around. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. And when I say win, I actually also mean with the popular vote. So, but anyway, Johnny, thank you for your commentary, my brother, and we'll talk mañana. Let's go to Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto. Regarding Hillary Clinton's campaign, she had a chance to be interviewed by Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes. And she said, I'll do the interview with 60 Minutes, but not with Scott Pelley. And they told her, we do not let our guests choose the interviewees. So she did not have the self-confidence to be interviewed by Scott Pelley. She could have had an audience of like 12 million people. I thought that was really sad on her part, not to have the self-confidence. But to get back to this current election, I really commend Joe Biden for dropping out. I was worried about him being able to complete his term and so forth. But Kamala Harris she's going to have a tough time winning, and I'm kind of thinking that some other people like the governor of California and Michigan may enter this race to run for president, and so it'll be a contest at the Democratic convention. What do you think? Well,
they already endorsed. Well, the governor of California already endorsed her, and the governor of Michigan, while she hasn't endorsed her, she offered her full support. Now, let me just go for some logistics. The logistics is there are several $100 million that only Kamala can touch. And not if we get a new candidate other than Kamala, they can't use that extra money. So it'll be on the way behind. Let me also say that the machine is turning so fast right now for Kamala. She's already in less than 24 hours. She's raised $50 million from from small dollar donations, meaning on Act Blue and other places. So the bells are rolling for her, and the idea is the Democratic Party has to unify and start this machine as in very, very quickly. So I don't think, look, I would have liked, let me back up a bit. If things were different, I actually saw the governor of California in action in his fast responses to the attacks that come from the right. That is what we need right now. And I think Kamala as well can do that. I think she can. She has some other things to overcome, but I think she can do that. All of us have to get together. Those of us that want to keep our democracy, we all have to get together and fight this one. So that's where I am at, Jimmy.
One more thing, Alberto.
Yes, sir.
One more thing. I watched quite a bit of the Republican convention last week, and J.D. Vance impresses me as a person. And of course, he wrote that book, Hillbilly Elegy. There is a movie by that same name, directed by Ron Howard. We watched that. That is a very good movie. I want to give that news to your audience.
J.D. Vance.
It's available on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's free movie service.
J.D. Vance is a character. I mean, the thing about it is, you like his beginnings. He came out of Appalachia, and the problem is he adapted. He made a 180 on Donald Trump, and I played that video a few times. And he made a 180 on MAGA. So what it proved to many of us is that while his upbringing is commendable, that he built himself up and he used the American system to get ahead. When it was time and he put his hands in the air to see where the wind was blowing, he changed everything that he said before. So what do you believe now? But anyway, Jimmy, thank you, my brother. Hey, Jimmy, guess what? I know you personally. I know your age personally. And the one thing that I have to say is we don't age the same. You have aged like a young person. Unfortunately for Biden,
did you get that news article I mailed to you?
When did you mail it?
Within the last 2 weeks. I used to volunteer at KPFT, and I was working part-time at the IRS, and I interviewed Marvin Zindler, and then the IRS fired me. They said because I was a volunteer at KPFT, and I thought that was pretty crazy. But it was an article that was in all the papers that I was fired by the IRS for not disclosing. Way back in the 80s.
Well, let me tell you, Johnny, you're a good. I mean, Jimmy, you're a good man. But we'll talk later. I got to jump. All the lines are taken up, so I'm going to jump to Donald now. Thank you very much, Jimmy, for all your support and for calling in. Come on in, Donald.
Good work. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Donald, you're hot.
We like Mr. Rogers. Wouldn't you like to be my neighbor? We don't want you to leave. We want you to stay right here. We'll help you move if that is what you really want us to do, but we like to hear your voice on the air.
Well, thank you, my brother, and that's why we're going to win the election in 2024 in November. And it's going to be a landslide for good people from the municipal government to the state government to the federal government. That's what I've been writing on blogs throughout. I have faith in the American people. That's what I'm saying. We are the people. Anything else, Donald, before I jump to...
A moment of silence just for Sheila Jackson Lee. I don't know where it came from and what it caused it, but that is a loss for all of us.
Yes, it is.
That's it.
Thank you, brother. And by the way, folks...
Have a good day.
Thank you, Donald. Love hearing your voice every morning. And folks, on the newsletter, I have an ode to the Honorable Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I wrote a piece on Substack and on my newsletter at Substack, etc. Well, I at the end of the show, I'll go ahead and read that. I'm going to leave about 3 minutes for that to do that. It's very important. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Howard. Good morning, Jack. Yes. God rest Sheila Jackson Lee's soul. She did a lot for Houston, Texas, and she did a lot in Washington, D.C. as a congressman. And she will always be remembered. Very good woman, very good person, and loved this country. We talked about her a bit when I was in church on Sabbath. We prayed for her, even talked about the church, the Who, that she attended. Anyway, now, let's not be, now I'm being comical here, Alberto. Let's not be too hard on Donald Trump. He just said yesterday, I took a bullet for democracy. They keep saying, the left keeps saying that, he's going to destroy democracy. When I took a bullet for it, come on, people, everything's going to be all right. Yeah, right, Donald Trump. And people were bored believing everything you say yesterday. But I'll go on to, Kamala Harris. Well, the state that I'm from, California, Kamala Harris was a successful prosecutor. She was a successful attorney general. She was a successful senator. And I agree with the mayor of politics done right. She does have all the credentials to run this country, be an effective president. But she does have a likability problem. If she can overcome the likability problem and effectively, because she's been talking about abortion a lot with in 2025, and she really has mapped all that out and understands it well. That's probably one area I think she's probably better at than Joe Biden is to explain that. That's on the line along with these other things in that document. Project 2025 is on the line. And so, as you said there a little while ago, Roberto, we have to get out there and do our job as voters, and as Jack Van Diver said at the top, to beat back fascism, because this man is going to bring fascism into this White House, and he's going to be cutting things back. And as Kamala Harris said the other day, when she said that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are for the America worker and not for Wall Street, that it's, that's done, that's over with. We're not going to continue the neoliberal Reaganism politics that we've been tied to.
Wrap it up for me, my brother.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say with caller John. John, I feel your passion and everything, but, we are a violent country because we do have all these weapons and we have these chemistry books with the ability to make bombs and stuff. But you don't want to visit, say that Joe Biden, because he has immunity, would visit violence on President
Okay, Johnny. Okay, Harry. Gotta go.
So
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, my brother. Let's go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Good morning. This thing about constant lying is not there to ensure people believe a lie, but to make people not believe anything at all. If people can't tell the difference between a lie and truth, they don't. They'll fall for this guy who they can't distinguish between right and wrong. And Joe was wrong. If we got a saying here, if it walks like a duck and talks and squawks like a duck, it's a duck. And Trump has said that the fascists and KKK were good guys in Charlottesville, and they killed a young woman over there, and he was okay with that. And he was talking about wanting to be a dictator. Biden never said he wanted to be a dictator. Trump said he was going to arrest and kill people who wrote or talked against him. That's what Hitler did, and he did kill and imprison people who lied, who talked or wrote against him. And he imprisoned a whole bunch of people, and that's what Trump wants to do. Yeah, Joe, well, Trump is a fascist because he acts and walks and talks like a fascist. And
Augie, it is. Look, the truth of the matter is, I am not. Like I said, I make sure to engage everybody. But again, bottom line is anybody who votes for, nobody. If we put, now it's likely going to be Kamala. If we put Kamala and Trump next to each other, and we look at things like breaking the law, doing moral ineptitudes, etc., there's not a contest. And for those people who actually ask their kids to look up to them and the things that they do, when you look in the face of your daughter or your son and say you're put in the position of the person that has the highest position in this land or in this world, actually, because America is in fact still the leader of the world. Again, that brings degeneracy to the country, because at that point that you're saying it really doesn't matter. So I mean, for those of you that are out there that are listening right now, when you vote for Trump, knowing that the lies, his attack on women, rape, and all of that, you are saying that's okay. And it's the same thing that you speak out against many others. What does your children think? Go ahead, close out for me, Augie.
Yeah, and if you can't distinguish between right and wrong, that ensures that these people are going to follow him. When I wanted to vote for Biden, but I'm not just voting for him. I'm voting for me, for my family, and like you say, for our city, for our county, for our state, our country. That's what I'm voting for the betterment of our country.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Augie. I appreciate your call as usual, and thank you for the support you've always given to KPFT. Let's go to Brother Tag. You're on, Tag.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Talk to me, my friend.
My opinion this morning is the two strengths of the Republican Party are the things that are going to cost them the election. And those strengths are misogyny and racism. And I don't think they're going to be able to play those cards against Kamala because it'll be just so blatant and obvious. And people will roundly reject that, if they try to use that weapon against her. So, before it's been kind of an insidious type of thing, they use it. But, if they bring it right out in the forefront, people are not going to buy into it. What do you think?
Look, I feel, like I said, I learned a lesson in the Obama campaign, and that was in 2008. We're now 2024. What's that about? Almost. Oh, wow, that's 16 years ago now, right? So I think we have grown. There's a backlash that's occurred, but you know what is also interesting, Tag? The truth of the matter is, if 30% of the country decides to exert the what racism is all about, if they decide to be racist, that's still not enough to win an election. And my contention is we can do a lot better. So I am with you. I think that misogyny, especially now with what the Supreme Court has done with Roe v. Wade, is going to be one of our signature reasons for winning. So I think you have hit on to now the racism part. I want to believe that, but remember, let me just tell you that I live in that reality, and it's a hard nut to crack. But I continue to disregard it with the expectation that a lot of disregard makes it irrelevant. But again, I'm with you and I hear you. Anything else, Tag, before I jump to Betty?
Yeah, a couple things real quick. I was kind of humored when Joe earlier said that about Biden being accused of rape. And if anybody that knows anything about that, I think he's referring to Tara Reid, and she ended up going to Russia.
Yes.
And so I think Joe ought to keep that in mind that she's in Russia now, so that kind of tells you where that come from. And I think it's really important to keep things like that to the forefront. Is like, well, how much influence is Russia going to have between now and November? And hopefully people are a little smarter than that. So, okay,
Tag,
thanks.
Got to go, Tag. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Let's go to Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Good morning, Alberto. Have you ever been officially welcomed to Texas by a real true blood Texan?
Yeah, I was walking. I spoke about this in my book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. I was walking down the streets in Brenham, Texas, and with my compatriots from Latin America. Of course, I was the only one of this complexion, and I got a nice welcome to Brenham, Texas, and it was my entry into the United States. It's probably a few weeks into the United States that it's happened. Yes, so that has happened to me.
Well, anyway, I'm a born Texan, and you're welcome to Texas again. But what I want to talk about is Donald Trump's bloodbath. I come from a family of 11, and there were 8 girls and 3 boys. The 2 boys were my 2 brothers. They were the oldest. They both fought in the war. One in France and the other one in the Philippines. And Trump says something about a bloodbath. That same blood runs in me that my brothers went off and fought for. And I want a piece of that bloodbath too, because they what we're walking on and what we're talking on and doing everything now is because of them, them.
Something.
And
First of all, I want to commend your brothers for serving and saving the country. Continue, my friend.
now Donald Trump's lies, if he does lose and everything, he keeps lying and lying, and when he really needs help from somebody, nobody's going to be there to help him. When he keeps
Thank you,
lying,
Betty.
like that. Okay.
Betty,
Y'all be good.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so kindly for your call, Betty. Love hearing from you. Let's go to Brother Bart. Come on in, Bart.
Good morning, Egberto. If any of the listeners want to own a piece of history, Hunter Biden has put his artwork is 95% off for sale. So
Nice.
anybody want to buy a painting, got them for sale.
Thank you, Bart.
But Egberto, I want to ask you a question. You got one problem.
Okay.
You got Hillary is endorsing Kamala, and Barack Obama is not. So what's going to do?
Actually, Barack, not really. Barack, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer, none of them have endorsed because they are at the top of the Democratic establishment, and they don't want to seem at this point that they are pushing anything directly. Those endorsements will come. So that's where it's at.
So they're going to fall in line. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they will. Anything else, Bart?
Are
Bart?
they going to fall in line later? Is that what you're saying?
They will fall in line later. Yes.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see, Egberto.
Thank you.
I'm really enjoying your show today.
Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, let's go to Brother Brian.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for all the volunteer work everybody does at the station.
You know something, Brian? You always start with something positive. Thank you so kindly. And before you speak, I'd like to welcome Shakula Hairstylist. I also want to welcome, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. I also want to welcome Billy Allison Irwin. I want to welcome, and these are all folks in the chat right now. If I missed you, just drop another line. Alizarian Dreams, welcome aboard as well. And if I missed some of you, please just drop your name at the end and I'll call you out. Talk to me, Brian.
Okay. So, first off, actually two things. Sheila Jackson Lee died this weekend. And if you read her WikiLeaks thing, it's only about 8 paragraphs. And the comment section, nobody liked that woman. I mean, really, nobody liked her.
Okay, go to the next subject. Let's not do that to the deceased. Go to the next subject, please, Brian.
Okay, how does it feel to be in a party that has ousted its own members? I mean, your party elites have done this since Hillary Clinton.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this, Brian.
Bernie Sanders. Yeah.
Our party has a way of doing that. And I shouldn't. While I'm the host, I shouldn't say our party, but everybody knows that I am on the left. But here's the thing, Brian. By the way, believe it or not, you're right. There are times that we look at folks that could actually be successful, but because of moneyed interests and otherwise, the party has done wrong. I mean, they did that with Bernie Sanders. They did that with quite a few other people who wanted to run in the primary in 2023. That is a statement of fact. Now, that said, I can't sit back and talk about the bad things the party did for different people. I have to be one who looks out for all of us. And based on what we have today, what has to be done? I'm going to leave it right there because I need to read a tribute to Sheila Jackson Lee. So give me a quick 10 seconds before I go on to Sheila.
Okay, who is the fascist party now? The Republicans or the Democrats?
The Republican,
Who
you have
defines
to, you need to define fascism, sir. But I can't get there now. We'll talk about that tomorrow because I really want to get to Sheila Jackson Lee. Okay? But we'll talk, Brian. You know you have a platform here, so we'll talk. Thank you, brother. All right, I gotta go. Let's go. Let's go ahead and first of all, the title of the show today was supposed to be, or not was supposed to be, is um, Biden's withdrawal and endorsement of Kamala Harris for president, and a few other topics, including that of Sheila Jackson Lee. So I want to read the tribute that I wrote for Sheila on Substack, on Daily Kos, and other places. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is a real politician who fulfilled her mission. She'll be missed. Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee has gone too soon. There was much more she wanted to do, yet again, it seems that too often the good die young. When Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee came onto my radar, I was not immediately enamored with her. She never seemed to miss an opportunity to be on camera or to make her presence known and seen. In my ignorance, even as I knew better, too often one lets false narratives take root. And I did as well. I allowed a false narrative to take root. As a woman, specifically a woman of color, a black woman, the Congresswoman had to make her space. She not only demanded her respect, but also took it. Even though Jackson Lee earned it, the powers afforded it to her. She learned the same teachings I learned from our Caribbean Latin American upbringing. Don't complain. Work 10 times as hard and create your path. Well, she did just that. She used failure as the learning tree of success and service. Losing early elections was just an instruction on how to win for Jackson Lee. She effectively used the camera and microphone to spread her notoriety and message. I learned a big lesson in politics at the 2012 Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. I walked around the Texas delegation in the hotel, interviewing many of our Texas politicians, delegates, and their families. As I approached her for an interview, she asked me to hold on, and she hugged and addressed constituent after constituent. The bidirectional love and respect between her and her constituents was palpable. Most importantly, she placed them first. She addressed them before she took to my camera and microphone. I had already respected this woman. I left there loving her for understanding what a politician should be. I have known many politicians. Sheila Jackson Lee was one of the real ones. There is now a crater in the House of Representatives that need to be filled. Texas District 18 is used to having a congresswoman who cared for her constituents. Someone has enormous shoes to fill. I did several interviews with her, and I gave a link to the different interviews that I did with her. Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee has gone too soon. She wanted and needed to do much more, from health care to family leave. Yet again, it seems too often the good die young. The narrative that we put onto people a lot of times is to bring them down and not look at what makes them who they are. And that's how I looked at Sheila in the beginning until I said I went to the 2012 convention and learned a lesson of what a politician really should be. Yes, she was hard on her staff. Yes, people heard things that happened. Men gets breaks on doing things like that. Trump has gotten breaks on doing things orders of magnitude worse, and he still is enamored by, or has the enamoration of some. But Sheila Jackson Lee, I will miss her. I had an interview set up with her about several weeks ago, and she kept putting it back. It turns out the woman was a lot sicker than I thought. And with that, let me pass it on to her studio. Studio, you're on.
Yep, I'm here. God rest her soul. She did a lot of good things for a lot of people, and we will miss Sheila Jackson Lee. And Jack, what you got here?
Yeah, Sheila Jackson Lee will be missed.
And I think that's it from the studio.
Yeah. All right, folks. Look, thank you so kindly, folks. Love you all. Look, we are in very important times now, folks. Please remember that, and please remember to go out there and vote. Love you all. The rest of the show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!